Hello, everybody. It is Johanna here with Orbital Astrology, and I'm here for the weekly forecast. And what we do every week on the weekly forecast is talk about the astrology that's coming up, which means we talk about the transits, so the planets moving across the sky and where they are currently and how they're interacting with each other, and what does that mean here of living on Earth, and how does that show up in our life. So I hopped on like a minute early, and I actually don't have a laptop battery I'm not charging my laptop right now, so I think I'm at 53%. So maybe we'll keep this a little short and sweet this week. Um, if you are here live, say hi in the chat. And if you have any questions as I go through the astrology, just you can type those in and I can try to answer them later. But really, we're just going to sort of go through what's happening this week. And we do this every Sunday. I try to do it Sunday at 3 o'clock, which is a sun hour on Sunday. So it's a double dose of sun, which we'll see this week as a theme that's going to be happening. So for today the big news is Venus has moved out of Gemini into Cancer. So that's a big shift. Venus has kind of moved from wanting to talk about all the things and maybe spread a little bit of gossipy rumors or kind of keep things light and fluffy to moving into much more of an emotional realm, because Venus in Cancer is much more of a deeper feeling expression of Venus. So Venus rules love and connections and collaborations, also art, and Venus also rules money. So these sort of themes are going to be shifting. The energy is going to be shifting as of today, as Venus goes through Cancer. As she moved through Gemini. Now, Venus in Gemini, I didn't see much, other than just a lot of talking. Women being very talkative and very expressive with their emotions. So now we've moved into maybe a much more of a reflective place. So our relationships are going to get a little more reflective, maybe calm down a little bit of soothing energy, because Cancer is associated with nurturing and the moon. And we are actually at the very end of Cancer season. So the fact that Venus is like the last hurrah of Cancer energy as we sort of shift from cardinal energy into fixed energy is kind of interesting. So we're going to have a little bit of that lingering. But for the most part, a lot of planets are at the very last degrees of the zodiac, or very last few degrees. So we have Neptune sort of sitting there at 25 degrees Pisces. Pluto's still there at 27 degrees Capricorn. And we're having the Sun and Mercury move through the very, very ends of Cancer this week as well. So last week, actually just yesterday, we had a Mercury Cazimi, which means that the Sun and Mercury were at the very same degree and minute of the zodiac. So that was kind of an imbuing of power towards Mercury to talk about everything it wanted to. Since it's in Cancer, it's an emotional conversation that's been happening. But really feeling empowered to speak about your feelings. So this week, we're going to see Mercury and the Sun at the very last degrees of Cancer, which means it's going to be coming into a 90-degree square with Pluto in Capricorn. So they're going to be confronting Pluto. Let's see, it's going to happen Monday the 18th is going to be Mercury coming into an opposition. Okay, sorry, not 90 degrees, 180 degrees, because it's opposite. So we have Cancer at one end of the zodiac, then we have Capricorn at the other end, so 180 degrees. So that is going to be a confrontational energy with the planet of communication and ideas and exchanging. So Mercury is also like the banker or the merchant or the person who's like out there wheeling and dealing. So that type of quick exchange of details and currency. But since it's it's been hanging out in Cancer, now it's at the very end of Cancer, having a confrontation with Pluto. There may be a big emotional confrontation about power and who has power. So we've really been talking a lot about this in the past few weeks, that heavy energy of Pluto. Also, people feeling like, especially women, feeling like they're losing their rights. And it's kind of interesting that there is a confrontation happening on Monday the 18th. And then on Tuesday the 19th, the Sun is also going to come into that confrontational place, that oppositional place where it's going to be, basically standing up to Pluto and saying, look, you don't have all the power. I have the power as well. And the sun is going to get a lot stronger as you'll see at the end of this week or near the end of the week, because it's going to be a big shift. We're shifting our seasons. But before I talk about that, I wanted to read a poem that some of you have probably already seen. It was posted yesterday that I saw on Facebook. So it's a poem by the poet laureate Amanda Gorman, who spoke at the inauguration last year. And she's just been kind of all over TikTok, sort of being supportive and very inspirational and empowering. But this poem is called A Hymn for the Hurting. And that really made me think about the Plutonian energy that we're having. It's still there. It's still in the background, kind of creating this cultural shift. And it can be very painful, this transformative energy that's happening. And it's a deep, deep conversation about power. So I wanted to read it. If you've already read it or seen it, I apologize for rehearing it, but it's really, it just struck me as such a Plutonian experience about what the world's like right now and how the astrology shows up in it. So it's called The Hymn for the Hurting by Amanda Gorman. And it goes like this. Everything hurts, our hearts shadowed and strange, minds made muddied and mute. We carry tragedy, terrifying and true, yet none of this is new. We knew it as home, as horror, as heritage. Even our children cannot be. Everything hurts. It's a hard time to be alive, and even harder to stay that way. We're burdened to live out these days, while at the same time blessed to outlive them. This alarm is how we know. We must be altered, that we must differ or die, that we must triumph or try. Thus, while hate cannot be terminated, it can be transformed into a love that lets us live. May we not just grieve but give. May we not just ache but act. May our signed right to bear arms never blind our sight from our shared harm. May we choose our children over chaos. May another innocent never be lost. Maybe everything hurts, our hearts shadowed and strange, but only when everything hurts may everything change. And so, of course, amazing, and I cannot do that justice. If you ever watch her speak herself, she is much, much more eloquently able to express her own poetry. But the theme of this idea that change is hard and we have to confront the difficult things and the painful things in our lives in order to get through them really feels very prevalent right now in society. And that activation that we get every time a planet comes into contact with Pluto really does feel like that. And it's like a heaviness. Pluto being in Capricorn, and we had a Capricorn full moon this past week. All of this sort of energy pointing towards that Plutonian slowness, heaviness, but also that deep cutting sort of sense of change that comes along with Plutonian transformation is very, very present in society and in our lives right now. And I don't know about you, but in the past few days, I felt so just apathetic about things. And I'm usually pretty good at finding like the inspirational, joyful parts about life. But it was frightening me that I couldn't get myself out of that for the past few days. And it just felt so heavy. So I understand that that's just a transit, that we're all going through that. And if you are feeling that heaviness as well, then just know that this is also part of a bigger cycle, and that we are currently moving out of it because while Pluto's still going to be in Capricorn for a little while longer, the other planets that currently activate that just deep, transformative, slow energy of painful experiences, but the desire to change and make things better is actually going to be shifting this week, because we're at the end of Cancer season. We're officially here. So Cancer season was the past month. It started during the summer solstice, and it was technically considered, the beginning of summer. And also, when we have a cardinal season, that means it's the start of a new, when in the tropical zodiac, it's the start of summer, it's the start of fall, it's the start of winter. It's always the very beginning of that season. So once we move out of that cardinal season, which would be Cancer in this case, into the next one, which is a fixed season, we can feel the energy shift from this sort of anxious, initiatory, action-oriented, push, 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 go, go, go. Let's start something new. Let's do it, into the more sustainable. What did I write down as the keyword? uh, reveling. I wrote so just to be present and sit with it instead of being like, okay, go, 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 go. It's a much slower, consistent energy. And what am I talking about, right? We're talking about Leo, right? We're going to be moving into Leo season this week. Finally, yay! For all the Leos out there, it's finally your birthday this coming up, starting on the 22nd. So that would be Friday, I think. So as of Friday the 22nd, the sun will officially have moved into Leo, and we will be leaving behind, a big chunk of this cardinal energy. So, one thing that's happening is that Mercury and the Sun are moving very close together since they had that Kazemi, which means that they came together into the very same point of the zodiac, yesterday. They are now, Mercury kind of has passed the Sun and it's picking up speed, but up until um, up until about this next Saturday, they're going to be very close together still. So Monday, we'll see Mercury have a conversation with Pluto. Tuesday, we'll have the Sun have a conversation with Pluto because they're both very close to the same degree. And then, we have, uh, Tuesday, while the Sun is having its final conversation with Pluto in Cancer slash Capricorn, Mercury will be moving into Leo. So we do have this shift into Leo earlier in the week, but, not the official start of this season, which means the Sun has not moved into that until Friday, the 22nd. So we have all of this Cancer energy sort of saying goodbye. We're leaving it behind. We're ready to just, calm down a little bit, I think, and this means that we are at the height of the summer. The fixed signs always signify the very middle of whatever season that we're currently in. I like to think of the modalities, what they're called in astrology, of cardinal signs, fixed signs, and, mutable signs as like a wave, right? So the cardinal is the start of it. This cardinal is the initiatory energy that starts that wave happening. So if you think of a wave in the ocean, it has to come into contact with something that will create this rise in the water. So that rising, pushing, increasing energy is all of that cardinal, type of feeling. And then that crest, when you get to the very top of that wave, there's this moment of, it's like coming to the top of the roller coaster. You're like, that moment where you sort of sit there in the car waiting to go down. You're like, it's almost relaxing for a second. When you're going up the roller coaster, it's scary. You're like, the energy's really high. You're very anxious. You're kind of like excited. That's cardinal energy, and that's what we're moving out of, that Cancer energy, the excitement of the beginning of summer. And now we are moving into the height of the summer, or the top of that wave, the top of the roller coaster. We're just going to sit there for a second, and now we can actually. That's what I said. Revel in it. Revel in that moment of energy where it's calm, um, where the summer is the hottest. It's where we start. Everyone wants to go out camping. Everybody wants to go, have a barbecue. Please don't have open fire in New Mexico if you're here. But yes, like we're at that moment. Hi, Carissa! Yay! So we're at that moment where we're coming into the fixed season, the midpoint of summer. The sun is out there. It's the hottest it's going to get throughout the year. And Leo, of course, is ruled by the sun. So the sun is really going to come into play, like I talked about earlier. Um, the sun gets more powerful when it's in Leo because it's so happy there. It's where it's naturally placed. It's the only sign of the zodiac that has rulership of the sun or is associated with the sun. So Cancer and Leo are very special signs because they're the only two signs that have one of the luminaries, the moon for Cancer and the sun for Leo, that are associated with that sign. All the other signs share, rulership with another sign, at least with their planet. Whatever planet rules that sign is also ruling another sign, except for Leo and Cancer. They're the only two. So we're coming into this place where the sun is at its fullest. It's yes, you are. All the Leos get to have their moment. All the Cancers, they're special as well. So the Leos get to have their moment finally. We're gonna have the sun moving into Leo on the 22nd. That means that it's the height of the summer. All of the Leos get to have their birthdays, and that that brightness of the sun is really going to come into play, and that desire to radiate that energy of goodness. Now, we don't think about this as much in modern culture because we have indoor heat and um, electricity for light and everything. But if you think about how the ancients worshiped that sun as the life giver, because in the winter we didn't have access to all that warmth. It wasn't the growing season. I mean, if you think about the northern hemisphere, um, where you have a winter with snow and it's cold, and now this is the time of the year that people, it's easy, it's fun, it's what people look forward to all year, because you're not suffering trying to keep yourself warm all the time. The warmth of the sun is this gift that's being bestowed upon us right now, and that's really this celebratory aspect of Leo having the sun associated with it. So now we get to feel a little bit of a lull, even though there's a lot of stuff going on still, especially in fixed signs. We get to feel a little bit of settling, I think, into what it means to be in the summer. I mean, everybody just wants to go out and celebrate and do all the summer things right at the peak that we're at right now. Yeah, and that sort of joyfulness that is associated with the middle of summer and the sun and Leo, that really gives us joy, right? That gives us like Chris has said, being funny, that laughter, that humor, that feeling goodness. So we can all sort of think about that, even though when there's difficult things happening, like the poem I read earlier, um, all the cardinal conflict that's happening with Pluto, that's still present in the background. But let's just sort of breathe into this fixed season where we can relax a little bit and celebrate the warmth of Leo and the warmth of the sun. Um, the caveat is definitely associated with the fixed energies that have been showing up all year, because we do still have the eclipse points in fixed signs. They're not in Leo, they're in Taurus and Scorpio, but since they're all 90 degrees away from each other in the zodiac, they're going to be affecting all the Leos out there, all of your planets that you have in Leo, whatever house you have in Leo. You're going to be feeling that sort of reminder. It's going to be a recall back to what happened this spring with the eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus. Now, we've had a little bit of a break because we had Gemini season, then we had Cancer season that we're just finishing. Those 2 months of no aspects between the sun and the moon, or the sun and Mercury and Venus, they all were sort of leaving the fixed signs. And that means that it wasn't as active. So that we had a little bit of a break from the eclipses, but now we're at the midpoint between the eclipse season in the spring and the one that's going to happen in the fall. So there is going to be a little bit of like, while we're out there enjoying the sun, you may feel a little bit of a reminder, like a hit, remembering what's happened in this during the eclipse season in the spring, and that will be coming back. It's going to be kind of reminding us that there's still more to come. This story is not over yet. It's going to be happening at the end of October when we get to Scorpio season, and that's when the next eclipses will be reactivated. So just keep that in mind, that you may sort of be like, oh, wow, I thought that thing I did in the spring or the issue that came up during the eclipses was over. No, it's going to come back. Maybe some other reminder or reminiscent energy is going to come back during Leo season that will sort of prepare you or get you in the mental space to start thinking about the eclipses again that are coming in the fall. But really the biggest thing is, yes, the start of Leo season, Mercury going into Leo, Sun going into Leo. We are in the third quarter moon phase. That's going to be on Wednesday the 20th, which is my mom's birthday. My mom is the last Cancer before it moves into Leo. Yeah, so Wednesday the 20th is the third quarter moon. We just had the full moon last week, so now this week we'll have the third quarter, which means we are in the waning moon phase, which means there's going to be some adjustments having to happen. I mean, when we're in the waning moon phase, we're going to be releasing things, we're going to be readjusting, reflecting. There's no more building energy. It's all consolidating or reassessing, like that type of energy is going to be happening this week with the moon phase. Um, Chiron is actually going retrograde this week at 16 degrees Aries. That happens on Tuesday the 19th. So Tuesday the 19th may be kind of a big day this week where you will feel some sort of, sorry, desire to look at your own healing journey. How where are you at in that healing journey? Are you being reactivated? Are you feeling more wounded? Are you feeling more healed? Because when Chiron, the wounded healer, goes retrograde, it's time to reassess and look back and see how far we've come and what still needs to be healed. What still needs our attention? What still feels that it's like triggering us? Where do we need to be healed a little bit? Because it's a lifelong process, right? We all would love to take a pill and have every single problem solved, but that's just not how life works so far. I mean, maybe in the future it will, but Chiron's going to go retrograde in Aries. So wherever you have 16 degrees Aries, that's where it's going to be going backwards over. Chiron moves very slowly, so it's like kind of a long process. I should talk more about when Chiron will go into Pisces, but it's not for a while. So, yeah. So I guess I should have kept talking about this wave format. Like we since we're coming into the middle part of this wave, we're at the tip top, we're at the crest. We can see the world. It's beautiful. We can just settle into that a little bit just for the moment. Being in the moment is a very fixed quality, because they don't want change. They want to just stay where they're at. However, the next phase is mutable, and that's where we'll be moving to after Leo season ends, and we're going into Virgo season. But the mutable functionality of those signs, which is Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini, is fast. And I've made a comment because you're coming down that wave. I've talked about how mutable season feels very like you blink and it's gone. It's almost like this weird invisible nebulous thing that's just morphing into the next season. Like we're all looking forward to the start of fall. We're all looking forward to the start of spring or summer or winter or whatever, because that mutable phase is much forward looking. It's like it's not even in itself anymore. It's becoming something else. So it feels like a drifting away, or it's not really there almost. One other thing about the mutable phase is at that point of the season, usually we're over it. Like the one thing about going through Leo season is like we really get to feel how hot the summer is at this point of the year. And by the end of Leo season, when we move into Virgo season, I think that we're over summer, we're over being hot all the time, we're ready for fall. That also has an element, a quality for a mutable season. So it's like the over it feeling, like, okay, I don't want to think about where we're at. I just want to think about the next one. So that also affects your perception of the time that you're in. It's like not wanting to be in the moment. It's wanting to be in the next one. So we're in the middle of the summer. We're coming into Leo season. It's going to be a little bit of smooth calming down before we come down the other side of the wave into Virgo season. So enjoy your time in Leo season. And I know the new moon is all next week already. So I will be posting more information about my online circle, which I do every single month for my membership, the Orbit membership, but I also do it for free for the general public as well. So if you are interested in joining the New Moon Circle, you can come learn about what the next lunation is going to be. It'll be in Leo this month. The new moon in Leo is going to happen. So I'll let you know all of that information. I'll put links in the Resonant Essentials Facebook group. I can put a link under this video too as well. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I didn't really talk about the asteroids, which I told myself, don't miss the asteroids because they're important. We have Ceres moving into Leo next Saturday. So next Saturday may be kind of an exciting day because Mercury is going to come into a trine element, or into a trine aspect with Jupiter, which Jupiter is still in Aries. So one thing about moving into a Leo season means all the fire signs are also going to get like riled up and excited and working together. So we don't really have anything in Sagittarius right now. We do have planets in both Aries and Leo. So Aries and Leo, you guys, it's time for you guys to party and have fun with each other. So that's the type of energy that's going to be shifting as of next Saturday. So yeah, Ceres will also be moving into Leo on Saturday the 23rd. Ceres is the mother role. It's kind of a protective mother mothering aspect. And I talked a little bit about the archetype of Ceres, I think, in last week's video, so you can check that out. But that's going to be shifting this week too. So yeah, I don't really see much else. I hope it's all, the beginning of the beginning of the week may be a little difficult with all of this conversation happening with Pluto. So please hang in there. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if your things feel heavy for you right now, just know that we are going to be getting a little bit of a break as we move into Leo season. Just know in the back of your mind that there is going to be a trigger for the eclipses as we start moving into position with those nodes of the moon that are still in Scorpio and Taurus. So I hope you have a wonderful end of Cancer season, beginning of Leo season, and go out there and enjoy your summer because it's going to be gone, before we know it. So be safe and stay cool, and I will see you next week. Bye.